For every beloved supernatural character, there is also one hated by everyone. Starting with probably the most hated angel, Zachariah. I guess the fact that he was very strong and arrogant at the same time made him impossible to like. His manipulation tactics were some of the most cruel and calculated in the series. In It's a Terrible Life, he forced Dean into a false reality, taking away his memories and identity just to prove that destiny was inevitable. When Dean still refused to comply, Zachariah escalated his methods, using psychological and physical torture in Point of No Return to push him into becoming Michael's vessel. He treated the apocalypse like an inevitability that the Winchesters were foolish for resisting. He was one of the worst angels to have ever appeared in Supernatural, unlike the next angel, who is loved by everyone. His name is Castiel, and from the moment he first appeared, with his iconic trench coat and strange voice, everyone liked him. He was an angel who didn't quite understand humans, but would still die for them. His extreme loyalty to Dean and his slow journey from heaven's soldier to a rebel with a heart made him impossible not to love. Sure, there were times when he almost got two boys killed, but that's part of the job. Misha Collins' delivery was also very good. He embodied the character perfectly. That's why, at the beginning, he was just a side character. But as the show progressed, they kept bringing him back until he became one of the main actors. The next disliked actor is from the most hated season. I'm talking about Dick Roman and the Leviathan storyline. It wasn't so much that he was a bad character, but the Leviathans were pretty underwhelming, and he was at the center of that mess. A businessman turned monster who tried to outsmart everyone isn't a horrible idea, but it just didn't work out as well as it should have. Sure, he had some moments, but compared to the show's other big bads, he was just inferior. And the fact that he was responsible for killing Bobby didn't do him any favors. Talking about Bobby Singer, if he doesn't belong in the most loved category, then I don't know who does. He's the most likable father figure in the entire show. Bobby didn't need angelic powers or flashy hero moments. He was just a guy who loved the Winchester boys like they were his own. He had the best lines and always knew exactly how to fix whatever supernatural problem they were dealing with, and made every episode better just by being in it. He was also the Winchester moral compass, giving them many advices that they rarely listened to but always needed. His death in Death's Door was tragic, but making the ultimate sacrifice as a spirit in Survival of the Fittest gave him a solid ending. But this next character is a crazy narcissist, and his name is Metatron. He's the angel nerd that Sam and Dean found surrounded by books and talking about his precious stories. Quickly after, he rose to power and became one of the most powerful creatures. Despite this, he has to be one of the most annoying and insufferable characters. He stole heaven, killed Kevin Tran and many others, and still acted like he was the victim. His entire existence was one long monologue about how misunderstood he was. Even when he tried to redeem himself by helping Castiel and Don't Call Me Shirley, couldn't save him. You don't get to spend multiple seasons being the worst and expect a redemption arc to wipe it all away. But at least it all made for a satisfying death. But this demon, who's actually liked by everyone, is possibly the best written character in the entire show. His name is Crowley, and he was ruthless but charming, evil but weirdly likable. His dynamic with the Winchesters was one of the show's highlights, and his endless sarcastic comebacks made him a fan favorite. He somehow managed to be both terrifying and funny at the same time. After the episodes when he was injected with human blood, he actually started being compassionate and started confessing his feelings in the most twisted ways possible. And his ability to outsmart even the most powerful beings proved he was more than just a demon. The actor that played him, Mark Shepard, was perfectly cast. Whenever Crowley showed up, you knew the episode was going to be good. The next disliked character who had lots of potential but ended up being a disaster is Gordon Walker. He was a hunter who took things way too far. His initial introduction in Bloodlust made him seem like a shameless man with no morality. But then he just got worse. From torturing Sam and Hunted to becoming a vampire himself in Fresh Blood, he was just annoying. His extreme methods and refusal to listen to reason made it frustrating to watch. So it was pleasing to see Sam putting him down. But this loved character was one of Supernatural's most dynamic and well-developed angels. Evolving into one of the few who actually understood humanity, Gabriel, initially introduced as a trickster and tall-tales, seemed like nothing more than a simple antagonist who enjoyed toying with Sam and Dean. But as time went on, it became clear there was more to him than tricks and illusions. His arc took a major turn in Changing Channels, where it was revealed that he was actually an archangel in hiding who didn't want to pick a side in the war. Unlike Zachariah, who blindly followed orders, Gabriel saw that obedience doesn't bring anything good. But his best moment was when he decided to confront Lucifer and Hammer of the Gods to save Sam and Dean. The next disliked character is probably also the least recognizable one, and she's called Amelia Richardson. She was introduced as Sam's girlfriend in Season 8, but the reaction wasn't great. The chemistry was non-existent, the storyline felt forced, and worst of all, it made Sam look like a completely different person. Were we supposed to believe that he just moved on from Dean being in purgatory because of her? Their relationship flashbacks in Huntery Heroici were painful to watch. Her backstory, losing her husband, was meant to add depth, but it only made her interactions with Sam feel even more forced. I think everyone was glad when she disappeared from the show. And finally, we have arguably the most beloved character, Sam Winchester. He is the heart and soul of Supernatural. Sam's character arc was the most complex, going from a quiet student to the man who started the apocalypse in just a few seasons. He was addicted to demon blood. He lost countless loved ones and constantly fought against his own destiny, all while remaining one of the most compassionate characters in the show. Whether it was standing up to Lucifer in Swan Song, leading a rebellion against heaven's corruption, or sacrificing himself to save the world in Carry On, Sam was nothing short of incredible. His dynamic with Dean is the core of the show, and without him, there is no Supernatural. There are many other characters that would fit on this list, like Dean or Death, for example. So let me know if you would like a part 2.
I'm old, Dean. Very old.